Ellen McCauley at Pray It Off in Syracuse, New York. I still have people in this group who do not realize how much sodium can affect your weight. You can think you're eating healthy and get on the scale and say, how could I have possibly gained 2 pounds? And I will look at your weight loss log and say, well, you had sausage yesterday. Well, I only had 2. It still has sodium. You had processed ham on Wednesday. You had a hot dog on Friday. Sodium, sodium, sodium. Most healthy adults can have 1,500 milligrams of sodium a day, and many of them are eating 44,000 milligrams and greater a day. Processed foods have the most sodium. If you do not believe me, get a can of soup, and say, I'm just going to have the whole can because it's not that big. Probably in that whole can of soup is enough sodium to last you the entire day. Probably 1,200 milligrams of sodium in a can of soup. I haven't had a can of soup in 17 years. We have homemade soup. We make a lot of homemade soup and with reduced sodium broth. Teresa gave me an interesting, I'm going to do a little research on it, these powders that turn into a low sodium broth. So I'm going to look into that. So sodium can raise your blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure, you should be watching your sodium. Losing weight can help. And people who have bloating, ever like go off the wagon entirely, eating all this processed food and you just feel so bloated? And then you lose 5 pounds the first week, it's sodium. It's the water. The sodium's hanging onto the water. 70% of the sodium in Americans' diets is from processed foods. If you eat whole, fresh foods, you will not have as much sodium. No one should be shaking salt on their food. Not at our age, not at any age. I mean, there's products called no salt that taste just like salt. If you want a teeny bit, people are out to going, I'm putting salt and butter on my corn on the cob. Everything in moderation. There's a great recipe here for low-fat, low-sodium chicken casserole, and it's easy. People complain that I have too difficult recipes. This is an easy recipe. And then I put something in here on saffron that we talked about. It's a mood booster. You buy these like flakes of saffron and you put it in hot water and you can add it to dishes and add it to soups, and it helps with weight loss, it helps with your moods, and it's very inexpensive. And it's a nice way to enhance your food and enhance your mood. And I'm going to stop right there, Bobby. And the song today